Hey, what's good? I'm Kinell, and welcome to Sinister Cinema, where we get deep into the guts of classics and new releases from horror and exploitation cinema. And today, we're having a look at one of each. First off, I want to pick up everyone who's followed the Twitter, which I just set up on Wednesday. We got over 100 followers on that there. That's Sinister_Cinema on Twitter. Check that out. We've also got fucking Instagram now, Sinister.Cinema, so check that too. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't done to already, and let's get into what we're looking at today, which is the various adaptations of Stephen King's Pet Sematary. Now, the 2019 release came out last year, obviously, and at first I wasn't particularly impressed, but I willingly admit a lot of that is to do with how much I love the original 89 version, so maybe that coloured my judgment a lot. So a year on, it's time to come back and have a look at it with fresh eyes. Because I mean, they changed a lot, but a lot was changed in the original film. So let's start there and have a look at the 89 Mary Lambert version of Pet Sematary.
What is this place?
I brought you here to bury Alan's cat.
Daddy, is church all right?
Why, Judd?
I had my reasons.
I dreamed he got hit by a car and you and Mr. Crandall buried him in the pet cemetery.
What did we do tonight, Judd?
What we did, Lois, was a secret.
May the Lord bless you and keep you.
Has anyone ever buried a person up there?
May the Lord make his face to shine upon you.
You're thinking thoughts best not thought of.
Daddy's gonna do something really bad.
You're thinking of putting him up there. Don't deny the thought hadn't crossed your mind.
Come back to me, Gage. Come back to us.
Paramount Pictures presents Stephen King's all-time best-selling tale of horror, Pet Sematary.
Mary Lambert's original Pet Sematary from 1989. What a banger. I have loved this film since fucking VHS days. It is fucking flawless. I mean, as a horror film that is, as an adaptation of the book, it's had to take a few liberties, because the thing is with Stephen King's writing, and this book is no exception, is it is fucking long. So, you kind of got to fucking cut some shit out so you can crack on with telling a good horror film in an hour and a half. And also, it's a lot more cerebral, it's a lot more inside Louis Creed's fucking mind. And it's a lot more to do with his relationship between Judd Crandall. Now, there's a scene quite early on in the book where Judd Crandall's wife Norma has some fucking medical issues going on, and fucking our old GP Lewis swings in, saves the day, and that kind of bonds the two characters, which is quite important because it makes a lot more sense when he introduces him to the weirdness of the Pet Sematary later on. In the film, the seats are barely cold on the fucking removal van when Judd Crandall bowls up, goes, "Hey lad, grab that dead fucking cat and come with me. This is cool as fuck." Which probably isn't the best storytelling, but allows the film to crack on and get some shit done. So that's an example of how the focus was shifted in order to crack on with the film. But there was also some other shit that was changed. I mean, for example, if we look at what the Pet Sematary actually does, take, for example, the story of Timmy.
I'll bite, Judd. What's the bottom of the truth?
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back. It may look like that person, but it ain't that person. Because whatever lives in the ground beyond the Pet Cemetery ain't human at all. It was 4 or 5 days after Timmy's funeral when Margie Washburn seen Timmy walking up the road towards Yorkie's livery. As time went by, lots of folks saw Timmy walking back and forth.
In the book, when Judd tells the story of them going in to check on this fucking resurrected World War II motherfucker, it's a lot more ethereal, it's a lot more mysterious. They go up there, the boys head up to try and fuck his shit up, and Timmy starts speaking into them and seeing their darkest secrets and all this kind of shit. Whereas in the film, he's just a big wonky fucking zombie, eating fucking bones buried underneath a house for some fucking reason, and walking like he's wearing some orthopedic shoes that he doesn't wear. So, still fucking evil, but a lot less cerebral. And that works for the film in a lot of ways. So now we've established what the Pet Sematary does, this sort of gives them a better flavour of how to carry on with the main character Gage, the child played by Miko Hughes, who was doing bits around here. He was also in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and this iconic line from Kindergarten Cop.
My dad is a gynecologist and he looks at vaginas all day long.
Now again, in the book, when Gage is resurrected, he's on some proper evil, getting your head shit, almost Freddy Krueger-esque, and he's rolling around fucking hassling Judd Crandall, saying things like, "You, sir, are a cuckold." But having a child act to say shit like that, it just wouldn't work. Talking in almost fucking Victorian English and saying weird things. So he's just a kid that goes around and stabs the shit out of people. And there's a lot of reasons why they do that. I suspect it might be due to the release of Child's Play earlier in that year. You know, a small kid running around stabbing shit out of people is pretty cool and works for the film. So yeah, there's a lot of changes been made, but it makes for a better horror film. Because ultimately it's just about shit happening. If I want all that cerebral shit, if I want to get into the minds of the characters and really break down the relationship, I mean, there's a lot in there about Lewis's relationship with his father-in-law. There's a lot of references to him being like an evil Jewish old man with a threatening checkbook, and that struck me as a bit weird in the book. You don't need that in the film particularly. I mean, that story itself didn't really resonate with me in the book itself either, if I'm brutally honest with you. I mean, it's kind of to do with his father-in-law wanting to keep his missus away, wanting to keep his daughter away from fucking Lewis because he was a deadbeat trainee doctor? Do you get deadbeat doctors? That feels like it's a story adjusted from real life about a deadbeat wannabe horror writer. Obviously he was very successful, but I could see that as being kind of a bit more of an inspiration to the thing in general. So yeah, what they cut out needed to be cut out in my opinion, and that's one of the reasons that fucking Pet Sematary for the 1989 version bangs like a bastard. Not to mention the iconic use of fucking Zelda. I mean, if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. That character, the back twisted from fucking spinal meningitis and all that. Oh, fucking some traumatic shit if you're watching that as a little kid who's rented shit he shouldn't be renting from the video store. So that's the original. But how does it pair up to the 2019 version?
In the woods today, LA discovered a charming little landmark.
The Pet Cemetery.
Place to bury our pets and remember them. Might seem scary, but it's not. Perfectly natural. Just like dying is natural.
The whole town's been using this place for generations. Folks make a kind of ritual out of it. It's not some campfire story.
Saw these in the trees up there.
They're warnings. The local tribes carved them before they fled. They fear that place. There's something up there. Something that dates way back. Those woods belong to something else. Something
That cat was dead.
that brings things back.
Church?
I know what you're thinking of doing. But they don't come back the same.
Daddy.
What's going on?
Hug your daughter.
I should never have shown you that place. Your child is not the only thing that will come back.
The barrier is broken.
We have a second chance.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah, so I didn't really fuck with the 2019 version when I first looked at it, because they made too many changes that were too jarring for me. But I've had a look at it with a fresh pair of eyes, and to be honest, I'm still not completely sold on it. See, I mean, the thing was, they gave away in the trailer, the first fucking trailer they put out, that it wasn't the character Gage that was killed. It was the older daughter. And that does make some sense from a narrative point of view, because if it's the older daughter, then they can speak, and you don't have the issue of it sounding weird when the character's saying shit to get into people's heads. It would be with Miko Hughes. He's too young to be speaking English in a fluent way and fucking doing all that haunted Victorian child bullshit. So yeah, that made sense from a narrative point of view, and they did seem to take a lot of changes like that, but they didn't always land for me. One thing is, they seem to do a lot of kind of fake outs where it looked like they were about to do something from the 1989 Mary Lambert version, and then they didn't. And the reason that didn't really land for me is because if you're going to make changes, then why do you need the references to the original? Because newer viewers who are going into it without that baggage won't really see what you're trying to do. Whereas people from the original tend to get let down by the fact that you're changing something that they loved about the original, which gives it a whole era of who is this film for? That's not to say it was all bad. There was some stuff I really fucked with in here, bringing back the Wendigo mythos and all that kind of thing, and getting a bit more deep into that side of things. I like stuff like the creepy parade of kids wearing masks. There was some good imagery in it, and the film itself is very well fucking made. Kevin Koch and Dennis Widmeyer are good filmmakers. I strongly suggest checking out their earlier film, Starry Eyes. They've done a lot here, and they've got some good imagery. They're good filmmakers, but I'm not sure they've done Pet Sematary right here. Because to make that many changes, do you even need to keep that much of the original? Is the big question, I suppose. I mean, like, if you're going to completely change what happens in the story, why not also change the characters? Why not change their names and make it another similar story in the Pet Sematary universe? It's tough to say. I mean, maybe you could make it more as a sequel than a reboot. But there is some good stuff to like there, but it's not the best Pet Sematary movie. Fucking, I'd recommend the original. Maybe if you've got a friend round who doesn't really fuck with 80s horror like that, then maybe go for this one, introduce it to them, and show them the original later. But ultimately, this film is good filmmaking, but it's the worst Pet Sematary film. It is what it is. So yeah, that's my breakdown of Pet Sematary. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment down below. Be sure to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Share it around if you fancy doing that. Any of that bollocks. It all helps. Follow the Twitter at Sinister_Cinema, or follow the Instagram. And follow the Instagram. Do both. Sinister.cinema. That's all from me. Safe.